All right, here we go. Here we go. Part three. Part three. All right. It sucks that we can't just run this all the way through, but here we go. Part three. All right.
All right, so
Yep.
go ahead. We're talking about insurance companies and going to zero, and
Yeah. So
I
this.
think this is the final point, right? This is, to me, this is the final point. Maybe we can clean this up and make this nice before the 40-minute limit. But in my opinion, this is the key, right? The key is the thinking about your investment, thinking about your you or someone else's investment in Bitcoin. And you say that it's good for transferring money and all this stuff, but in most instances, I can't speak for you. In most instances, people are holding it. They're just holding it to see what happens. And you've advocated that a couple of times in this conversation. And what I want to say is, can you take an objective look at your risk as being a Bitcoin holder? And I pointed out several examples. We don't know why in late 2017, why Bitcoin 5x'd. I have my theory about the Saudis that were being held in the hotel, the 7-star hotel, and they're getting shaken down for money. And so they hide it.
Another use case for Bitcoin.
Illegal operations. Exactly. They were doing illegal operations. So their government was coming after them for, they were doing illegal things. Their government's coming after them for money that they stole.
Do people in the government ever do illegal things, or are they always right and the private citizens are always illegal?
No, I'm not advocating that nobody does any illegal stuff. But
so the government can actually do illegal things as well?
Of course.
So how do you fight back when the government's corrupt and doing illegal things, if they hold all the cards?
You vote. You hold them accountable through congressional hearings. You talk to your congressman. You have all kinds of opportunities to seek justice. You talk to a lawyer. You talk to the police. You can do all kinds of stuff for that.
Bitcoin's just another tool in the tool belt to fight against corruption.
Okay. Yeah. Well, even though it's the vehicle that's used for corruption,
criminals are often pick something up when it's new. They're usually adopt a new technology first.
So back to where I think we can clean this up and sort it all out is, talk to me about what happens when it goes to zero. Talk to me about your ability to sidestep logic and hold it with your hard-earned cash as probably one of the highest risk investments you could make in your life.
So I think what's happening is you're mixing two things. You're saying Bitcoin goes to zero in US dollar terms. Okay, that's one side of the argument, which I totally ignore and I'm not too concerned with. Now there's the real argument that you should be saying is, what happens if Bitcoin goes to zero in terms of the blockchain, the network stops functioning and working, right? So if Bitcoin goes to zero in dollar terms, is the network still working? Then it's perfectly fine. We're functioning with Bitcoin. We're holding Bitcoin. If the network goes to zero, EMP, then that's a problem. So we don't necessarily care about the dollar value. The dollar value is going to figure itself out. If Bitcoin still exists and still functions, and the US dollar still exists and still functions the way it has been, the dollar is going to inflate to infinity, and Bitcoin's going to go up zillions more in US dollar terms. There's not much to worry about there. We have these small risks that you're saying, Satoshi, this, that, and the other thing. Satoshi comes back, sells his coin. It'll be a dip. The market will eat it up. We'll have a crash, and we'll be on our way the next cycle.
Okay. I think we're done here.
All right. Well, it was good talking to you, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say to that logic. I mean, it's clearly you have been successfully marketed. If you put US dollar into Bitcoin, you're eventually going to want that US dollar out.
Why?
Because you can't buy that baseball glove sitting there behind you with Bitcoin, and you may never be able to. You're holding on to a dream.
Cash can be used for exchange in the short and medium term until we transition into a Bitcoin backed world. But in the meantime, you'll just get wealthy off of Bitcoin. So you don't have to use
It's
it
not.
right away. You could
I thought it
shave
was a
off a little
currency.
bit.
I thought it was a currency. Now you're talking about it's an investment.
It is a currency, but this is just the way money evolves. First, people have to hoard it as a collectible. It becomes a savings mechanism. Then it transitions into medium of exchange. People start trading it, using it. Then it becomes a unit of account. People start pricing it in it. It's just a natural progression in the way that it happens. Now, of course, I'd like to speed that up too, but it
Since
takes time.
2008.
It's hard to
It's been a
understand.
natural. It didn't work for El Salvador. Work. It just doesn't work because people want to have an assurance that you can't use a currency that can fluctuate like this.
It's
like,
true.
It doesn't. That doesn't
But
work.
that's the
So
that's
so
the perspective change.
So your argument is not valid.
That's
It's
the
not valid.
perspective. It's a perspective change. We think that the dollar is stable and flat, right? What happens when they create 2 trillion more dollars?
Okay, but we're talking about El Salvador. That's our only use case that went to it, and it went to shit. It didn't work.
Well,
So El
I don't
Salvador.
know what's going on in El Salvador because you hear two different things. One group says it's bad, another group says it's thriving and it's working great. So I haven't looked into the statistics.
It's not working for Gen Pop, and Gen Pop is the only thing that matters. 91% of the people haven't used it in the last year since they stopped making it a requirement. So Gen Pop is what matters. You have to make it like you've justified a few things in our talk that works for you because you're hardcore on it. But you got to think about the Gen Pop. If you're not thinking about Joe User, then you're wrong.
They'll eventually get there, and yeah, more tools can be made for
part of the gains have been made by doing the Super Bowl ads, and the celebrities that did those ads got sued because they were hawking securities, and
that's not Bitcoin,
that put it was the crypto exchanges.
Right.
But what I'm saying is like these have been marketing problems for crypto in general
because Bitcoin doesn't have a marketing department.
But it is crypto, right? It does function based on these dirty, shady exchanges.
Right, because these people are trying to extract value and it's hard to do it in Bitcoin. So they go to scams and they create exchanges and they create altcoins and they do all these things. That's an easy way to extract value. You got rug pulls and you got all types of crazy stuff that people confuse and conflate with Bitcoin.
Well, it's just because it hasn't happened yet. But you're sitting on a perfect runway for the perfect rug pull. The probably the biggest rug pull that could ever be devised, and that's Mr. Satoshi with his 1 point. That's going to be the perfect rug pull. He's gonna sell his, and you're ignoring that liability. You're accepting it. You're ignoring it. He sells his. Everybody sells theirs. The institutions freak out. They sell theirs, and all of a sudden, Bitcoin you can't even wipe your butt with it because it's not a thing.
So one person has 1 million Bitcoin. The risk of them selling means no one else should buy it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you got one dude that can manipulate the market.
Rich people manipulate every single market.
Yeah, like the Saudis that bought that 5x to Bitcoin, manipulating the market. You can't have a currency and have it be accepted and respected and run the world if it can be manipulated by one guy or 10 groupies in their basement. It doesn't work.
I think because we value it against the dollar and it goes up and down against the dollar. But if you look at Bitcoin just on its own, the Bitcoin network without a pegged currency, because I'm sure there's other fiat currencies that you can look at and Bitcoin is going way up and down. It just doesn't make sense. All these other countries that have all these man-made infinite currencies. Eventually people are going to wise up and realize that an energy-backed currency that's worldwide makes a whole lot of sense. Do you use what's over there? The Filipino peso?
Yeah, and it's garbage. I mean, it's got inflation. It's based on the Philippine government functioning healthily, and it's got its own problems. Just like
the dollar's king over there, probably, right?
The dollar's king everywhere.
Yeah,
if I'm going to travel to any country, guess what I'm bringing? I ain't bringing no Bitcoin. Yep. Bitcoin ain't going to get me out of a jam. I'm bringing 2 or 3 nice, crisp unmolested, not even folded $100 bills to get me out of whatever jam I'm in.
But you're okay. Now, how about your wealth? Are you storing your wealth in those crisp $100 bills?
Yeah, yeah,
You are.
that's
So
well,
you're storing your wealth.
that's an example of my wealth. Those nice, crisp $300 bills.
To spend. I understand spending them, but you're going to save your future value in dollars?
Well, who uses a currency to save for future value? Nobody. If you're using a bank, you get 0.0% interest.
Why not,
If
though?
you're using crypto, you're taking on that liability. It's silly. Nobody really buys dollar currency as a form of gaining wealth unless you're on these shady exchanges
Why not?
because every fiat system is based on a healthy government.
So fiat's
Unlike
bad
Bitcoin, based on
investment.
nothing.
So-
Well, unlike Bitcoin's based on nothing.
So what's a better investment? Dollars or Bitcoin?
Nothing. Neither. The stock market.
You had to choose one. No, dollars or Bitcoin.
Well, I function in dollars, so I choose dollars.
You choose dollars, even though
But I don't.
it goes
I'm not
down
gonna. I'm not
in
gonna.
value.
I'm not gonna hold my. I'm not gonna hold my wealth in dollars. I'm gonna hold it in real estate, stock market, etc. I'm investing in companies. I don't do real estate. I invest in the stock market. I invest in companies. So no, who holds money in a bank in a savings account earning 0.06% interest?
Exactly.
No, that's silly.
Money
You
is
got to
broken.
beat the rate.
Money
You got to
is
beat the rate
broken.
of inflation. No, you got to beat the rate of inflation.
There shouldn't
Money's
be
not broken.
inflation.
It's
there
just
should
the
be
way it is.
deflation. There should
You're
be
not going to fix it.
deflation.
Just like Bitcoin has its problems that you ignore, fiat has its problems that you have to ignore too. Number one is there's going to be inflation. That's just the way it is. And number two, the main point of Bitcoin that you ignore is the criminal element, right? So you're ignoring things too. You can't say that yours is peaches and cream and 100%.
Why? I'm not saying that. Bitcoin does have risks. Of course, everything does. But why is inflation necessary? What even is inflation and why is it needed?
Ask the Fed. I don't know. The strongest currency in the world is the Kuwaiti. Shit. I was in Kuwait for 3 years. I just drew a blank.
That's
The
right. Inflation is not
the
needed.
Kuwaiti money. The
It's
Kuwaiti
theft.
money is the strongest currency in the world, and it's backed by their history of oil and their lack of debt and their sovereign wealth fund. Okay, so if you had those things in any country, you could have a currency that doesn't necessarily lose value. We don't have that in this country.
What happens if I'm just a regular person, right? We're talking about regular Joe, and I just work.
Kuwaiti dinar. That's what it is. Go ahead.
Let's just say I just work and I earn cash and I just pay my bills and I save my cash. All this inflation is stealing from me. Do you think that's theft, criminal activity?
Well, to your point, so you're saying that I should be working and earning Bitcoin.
Hell yeah, if you want to get rich.
Okay, so I'm paying my rent in Bitcoin.
Well, no, you're gonna have to
So
do it
hold
for
on,
the
hold
time
on,
period
hold on.
in cash.
No, let's say we're in 100% Bitcoin world.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm paying my rent. I'm paying my rent in Bitcoin. I'm getting paid in Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 40% within the last 2 months. Now I can't pay my rent.
It's not.
Now I can't pay my light
drops
bill.
against what? Everyone's using Bitcoin. What are they gonna? What's it gonna drop against? The dollar that's unlimited and people create for free? Why would anyone?
You telling
want
me that it hasn't? You tell me that it hasn't lost?
You just broke up. You're telling me it hasn't lost what?
You telling me that it hasn't lost value?
When compared to the dollar, yes, it's going up and down.
Compare it to whatever you want to compare it to.
But overall, since its inception, it's gone way up. Started at a 0. It's 60K or something now. And it'll be 1 million before you know it. 10 million.
You've run out of idiots that want to buy it. That's your problem. It's like baseball cards. You got to have an idiot that is willing to buy it. That's why I like to talk about baseball cards, because it's a collectible. And you're talking about buying and holding. So we're not talking about the core functionality of Bitcoin, which is transfer of funds. Now you're talking about buying and holding.
Because this is what we have to get through first, because It's the how money evolves. We have to get through this holding stage first. It's just the way it
Okay.
is with money, apparently.
You should have. I've pointed out several instances where you should have bought the stock market instead of paying the electric bill, instead of getting scammed, instead of having the liabilities
All
that are
that
associated with
stuff can
Bitcoin.
rug you as well. Stock market,
It
companies go
hasn't.
out of business. Lehman Brothers,
Yeah, sure,
WorldCom,
sure.
Enron.
The stock market has gained 10% per year since its inception. That's a fact. That it doesn't it
And I'm sure
that's just a
Bitcoin's
fact.
way higher than that.
But it's also had its share of scams and waste of electricity. I pointed out $2 trillion that you would have had if you would have invested in the stock market instead of Bitcoin.
Starting at what date?
2008.
You would have had way more. So you're telling me the stock market went up more in dollar terms since 2008 than Bitcoin?
What I'm saying is the people that got scammed out of Bitcoin, the $360 billion, or no, between 200 and $300 billion that happened in crypto scams. If they would have instead, because you're talking to me that this is an investment vehicle, buy now, FOMO, all these cool
Where are you
whatever.
getting that
Don't
number
miss
from
out.
in crypto scams? 300 billion scams. Is that just like across all the cryptos that have ever existed?
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
not Bitcoin though.
But you gotta lump them together.
That's like
What I'm
lumping the
saying,
U.S. dollar with all the fiat currencies as far as how the value goes. They fluctuate different.
this okay. You're what my point is. If they would have invested, okay, so it's 100 billion instead of 200 or 300, whatever. You want to just focus on Bitcoin, that's fine.
There's no
The
way the
core, the
stock
core.
market outperformed Bitcoin since
No,
2008.
I'm not saying it did. I'm saying the people that got scammed, if they instead would have put that money into the stock
But
market,
how'd
they
they
would
get
have $2
scammed?
trillion.
How'd they get scammed?
BitConnect, Mount Gox, FTX, you name it. They're all the rug pulls. All those people got scammed, right? They all got
BitConnect,
scammed.
FTX, but it's not Bitcoin though. So we're just mixing. We're just mixing things.
Well, there's been Bitcoin scams too. I don't have the facts in front of me. I have the
But
facts for
there's
the
been U.S.
general
dollar scams
crypto.
too.
Sure. What I'm saying is these people have been taken advantage of, and that kills the marketing on Bitcoin. That makes you guys more apt to market and more trying to
Fine. I
follow
can
the.
agree with that. That's just the way it is. There's dollar scams too, but you can't just say all the people that have been scammed in dollars, if they weren't scammed and they bought the S&P 500, they'd be trillionaires. Of course,
Yeah,
they're not happy
yeah.
they got scammed.
Fact. You're going to get scammed. You got money into Bitcoin and you have no assurance
There's
that it's going to
dollar
go up.
scams as well.
But the facts are the facts. You got no history that says your investment in Bitcoin with US dollars is going to turn you into something more than you are.
Of course,
That's a fact.
there's no guarantees in anything. No.
Got you. Got you.
Okay.
Number what? Number five. Number five of the things
Because there's
that
no guarantees in
that you
anything.
said
Of
was
course.
impossible.
Of
You
course
said
there's
you
no
said all my
guarantees.
points. You said all my points were false, and I got you on five. I don't know how many points I made, but it was right around that amount.
Yeah.
I have educated
You're
you.
on fire.
I feel so good. I feel so good. I feel so good that maybe you should diversify what you're doing. Maybe you shouldn't be hardcore tunnel vision, right? I've
It's
secured my
possible.
future and I don't have Bitcoin in my future. I've secured my future. I don't have to work another day in my life. Okay. So what I'm saying is fiat currencies are not the enemy. Fiat currencies are make the world go round. It's what you buy your house with, what you bought that glove with, what you bought your furniture with. Bitcoin may or may not be the future. Probably not going to be the future because it's based on nothing. And you've even admitted that there's nothing preventing it from going to zero. All
Of
right.
course.
So when you take a logical, history-based look at where you want to put your money, where is a safe investment for your money? You got real estate, you got the stock market, you got CDs and bonds, you got all these things. Bitcoin ain't one of them.
The problem is with
Because
all those things you mentioned require counterparty risk. That's one of the cool things about Bitcoin. There's no
there's
counterparty risk.
you got a million other risks. You want to just focus on one?
That's a big risk.
Well, going to zero is a big risk. You can't just focus on one counterparty risk. Like, what are you saying that
That's a huge deal.
the stock market has made more money for people than any other invention since the state of inventions? Okay, more people have gotten rich using the stock market than any other human invention.
That may be
Do
true.
you think Bitcoin fits into that category?
I think Bitcoin will be one of the greatest inventions in human history. Yes.
Kind of like the dollar.
The dollar had some good things. It enabled some things to happen, but unfortunately, it's no good because there's a small group of people that can create it for free and it's unlimited. And what they do is they create more and more every year and they steal through inflation from unknowing people. People don't know to invest. People don't know that you have to buy other things like houses and stocks. So they get stolen from. They work. It's the opposite of what should happen. We advance technology and make things better and greater. Things should be cheaper and easier for us as we go on. Our money should be worth more and more as time goes on, not less and less. And that will come out and people will see that. And that will happen because Bitcoin goes up, becomes more valuable over time. Technology increases and gives us more value for less. We're on the computer, our cell phones. We have many computers in our hands. There's all types of things that technology makes easier. People used to farm on farms with hands, their bare hands. Then shovels came in.
What's that got to do with Bitcoin?
It's a technology. Then machines came in and farmed. It makes producing things easier and easier. Therefore, prices should go down on farm crops. So why is it that they go up? It's because the money is broken. We advance technology across every area of our lives, not just farms. Everything becomes easier. Machines, inventions make everything easier for us to do and produce. We make things more abundant and easier, and the prices continue to go up because the dollar gets created in crazy high amounts. Bitcoin changes that, and it gives the value back to the people because now all of a sudden, Bitcoin matches the technology. Technology gives us more, Bitcoin gives us more. And it's just an overall better monetary system for humanity.
That was a great commercial.
Thank you.
You should probably send that to somebody. That was a great commercial.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think that
it's true.
It's not true.
So technology doesn't make our lives easier and make things more abundant?
Well, when it's associated to Bitcoin,
just take Bitcoin out of it. Ignore Bitcoin. Just technology in general. Does it not make our lives easier and produce things easier?
Nobody has ever argued that.
Okay, so you agree that then, right? Okay, good. Yeah. Then if the things are easier to make and produce, why do they continuously go up in price? And we have to work harder and harder as humans to afford those things that are easier to make.
What does this have to do with Bitcoin?
It has everything to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin fixes
Bitcoin's not going to fix that.
Yes, it does. How does Bitcoin fix that? Because now we have a static unit of measurement for money. And Bitcoin can measure the technological advances. So as things get better and easier to produce, Bitcoin captures all that value because Bitcoin is not inflated. The prices don't go up in the Bitcoin world. The prices go down. Everything gets cheaper and cheaper in a Bitcoin world. That's amazing.
I'll tell you what, I'll hold on for that world. I mean, this magical world of crime and scams and everything that I've shown, the rug pulls and Satoshi and all this other. I think that you're very smart, but I think that you have lost the ability to think objectively. Maybe you don't have life experience. Smart, okay, but maybe you have life experience that you've never had money or you've never had the ability to invest, or I don't know. I think that you haven't looked at the risk profile. I think that you've bought into this. You've been looking at it for so long that you can't really think outside of this. And it's good. I think Bitcoin needs heroes like you. The problem is that if you take an objective approach and you really understand what you're doing, and the risk associated with it, you wouldn't do it. And you're holding on to a dream. You're holding on to hope that likely will never come. Based on historic facts, it can't get out of its own way when it comes to legitimacy. It's just illegitimate on every corner. Some economies have tried it, like we pointed out, and it didn't work. Maybe your counter argument to that is you're just waiting on time. It's just going to take more time. But I don't operate on that. I might be dead tomorrow. I don't have time for that. So when you're looking at investing, you're looking at the window of your life, and you got gray hair. I got gray hair. We're running out of minutes. So if you want to speculate and invest in something like this, that's more power to you. I'm going on more of a sure thing, and more of a historical precedent set by the fiat currency and the stock market and other investing vehicles that have a more of assurance of keeping me funded and keeping me going. So you got to think about the window of your life. What's the window of your life as it pertains to Bitcoin? Maybe 100 years from now, Bitcoin will be something. I don't know. But it's not. It's had its time since 2008 to kind of be something, and it's turned into just a scam network.
The problem is on all those things that you're investing in, and of course it's your choice. You can invest in anything you want, but the problem is they're all inside the current system with the third party, the counterparty risk. And the reason that that's such a big deal is because things are controlled. We have things like injections, digital ID, and things that will be forced on people. And if people don't agree to do those things, your assets are held by them. You actually don't hold your assets. You lay claim to your assets, but you couldn't send me your house title if you wanted. You'd have to go through a third party. You couldn't send me a stock if you wanted. You'd have to go through a third party. So if the rulers that control those third parties say, you must take this injection, you must have this digital ID, you must sign this paper, you must check these boxes, you must do those things. Otherwise, you stand to lose your assets. And that's the reason why a third party in the middle of you and your money is such a bad thing.
That was another really good commercial. I don't understand your logic and your way of thinking. This third party involved in my title of my house, that's ridiculous. I own my house outright. I own several houses outright.
Stop paying taxes on them.
Okay, that's the cost of doing business. That's the cost of having roads to drive on, hospitals to go to.
It's the cost.
You got to pay taxes, dude. You're talking about now you don't want to pay taxes.
I get that that's what the third parties use them for, or say they use them for. But either way, you don't have a say in what they use them for. You pay your taxes under threat of losing your asset or going to jail, and they divvy up the taxes how they see fit.
Okay, so we're off on a whole nother tangent.
It's deep.
We can't even go down this. We'll never finish this talk because now you're talking about. There's no way. You got to support your government and pay your taxes. There's just no. You can't.
What happens when they become corrupt, though? What happens if they start pushing stuff you don't like?
What? So you have no power except you can vote. You can vote.
That's the cool thing about Bitcoin. It gives you the power. It gives you the power. That's the cool thing. It's outside the system.
But you're not talking logically now. You're talking about not paying taxes. Like, come on, man. Come on.
I'm talking about having the choice to pay taxes or not.
There's no choice to pay taxes.
That's right.
There's no choice.
That's theft.
There's no choice.
That's theft.
So there's Bitcoin. Bitcoin, if you're changing your currency, they're just going to change the model. They'll just be like, all right, well, you deal in Bitcoin, you don't deal in fiat, you're paying us taxes. This is the way it is. You live in a society that runs on taxes. You take advantage of that all the time. You drive on the roads, you buy the gas, You deal in public education. You were probably educated by a school that you paid no money for. So how can you justify not paying any taxes? That doesn't make any sense. It's not logical.
Because
We
it's
can't even go
theft.
down that road. We can't even go down that road because
Theft.
it makes no sense. Like now you're taking the conversation from here, focused in general, to way over here. Like your
Bitcoin
argument, you're
encompasses
making your
all
argument
this.
invalid.
That's the thing about it. Bitcoin, it covers so many topics. It's such a deep thing. It really is an amazing invention because it
No,
touches
you've
on
lost
all
your
these
mind.
things.
You've lost your mind. You can't stop. It doesn't matter what currency you deal in. You can't stop supporting your host country and all of the public services that they provide, law enforcement,
I'm good with
legal
supporting law
services.
enforcement and things like that, but it should be a choice. It shouldn't be a set amount that I have no choice. It's just taken from
Okay,
me or I get thrown in
okay,
a cage.
good. Stay on that topic. Stay on that. Your choice right there. I used my choice. I left the country. Do you have the means to do that?
No, I don't.
There you go. So there's your choice is gone. You have no choice. The only choice is to invest, gain wealth, and then you have a choice.
But
Right?
you
So I'm
still,
in the
now you're
Philippines.
beholden. You just changed your masters to a different master. Is there no
I'm not paying
taxes
the.
in Philippines?
I'm not paying any.
There's no taxes over there?
I'm not paying any.
Well, then, okay, then you agree with me then. You're saying I have to pay taxes.
I'm just saying that your argument. I'm paying U.S. taxes even though I don't live there.
Oh,
I'm paying for your
that's
kids
even
to go
worse.
to school even though I don't live there.
That's messed
That's
up.
just the way
Ain't
it
that
is.
messed up?
That's the way it is, though.
Okay.
What?
Well, let me do something horrendous and be like, well, that's the way it is. Just because it's the way it is doesn't mean it's not messed up and wrong.
You can understand that if you benefit from a society that has laws, public services, all the public services that we pay for, you benefit from, whether you directly benefit or those around you benefit, you have to pay taxes. Bitcoin, you're saying that Bitcoin is going to prevent you from paying taxes. No.
That makes sense, right?
That's not
But when the
logical.
system starts breaking down and things start getting crazy and you have all these laws and you got these people, these authorities making these decisions that you don't agree with and they're going off the rails, what do? You can't just vote harder.
You hold them accountable. You can look at Minnesota and the
It's
government going
messy,
in there and
super
strong
messy.
arming.
Bitcoin's a peaceful way to avoid a lot of this mess.
By funding drug cartels, crime, organized crime,
Fund
and
yourself.
all that.
Just because the criminals use it, again, just because criminals use a tool doesn't make it illegitimate.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel good that I was able to get through to you on 5 points, even though I think that you really should take a hard look at your future. And if you really want to continue along these lines, I think that would be my final hope out of this conversation. I've changed your mind on 4 or 5 points, or at least opened your eyes on 4 or 5 points. I'd like to leave you with one more point to open your eyes and be like, hey, fiat is not the enemy. In your lifespan, in our lifespans, we can't think of fiat as the enemy, because if we do, then the chances are you're going to die broke and alone. Okay, because if you keep pumping into Bitcoin and avoiding historically positive means of generating wealth, it's likely that Bitcoin could go to zero in your lifetime. The chance of it going to zero in your lifetime versus the chance of it mooning in your lifetime, you can argue. I don't know. We could argue that. The chances of my investments going to zero in my lifetime, you could argue that, but it's at least it's based on something and not an electric, whatever you said, electricity grid or whatever that makes Bitcoin. What I would like to implore you is to look at your future and look at your investing portfolio. And if you're a single pigeonholed on the Bitcoin, think about it hard. Think about it hard.
All right.
And this is coming from a guy who's independently wealthy. I didn't get any of my money from anyone else. I earned it, and I've invested it, and I'm living on dividends. So I don't have to sell anything to make my money. I'm living on dividends. Just like all these universities, all these public schools in America. You donate to them, your college that you went to, you donate to them. They want you to donate to them, whether you do or not. They all run on the interest on those donations. They don't spend the principal.
I know.
That's
I know that
that's
that's the
freedom.
traditional way. Now, I would say the one thing that I got you to think about that really might have clicked in your head was that technology improves things and gives us things cheaper and more abundant. So why do things go up in value continuously? So that's one thing
I, I
maybe you
I
just
can't deny that
you just
inflation exists,
right.
but
You
you're
just
not going to. I mean, you didn't teach me that.
no, I don't think
But
I
I'm
taught
beating
you that,
inflation.
but I think connecting that to Bitcoin is the question. How does that relate to Bitcoin? So you
No,
might have to figure that out.
I'll give you. I don't want you leaving here empty-handed. So I'll give it to you.
All right,
I'll give
thank
you
you.
that one. Okay. So I will think about that, and I might lose sleep about it. Um, but I've already won. So you're not going to really change my mind about things, and you're not going to talk me into throwing more money at an investment backed by nothing.
You don't have to. You don't have to. And the other point, I would say, the biggest point was the third party. So you're living off stocks, you're living off dividends.
Yeah.
They are controlled by a third party. And if any
Yeah.
rules change by those humans, just like you said, the 10 dweebs that run Bitcoin or whatever, the 10 goons, well, there's some goons that are third party controllers of your stocks. And if things
Mhm.
change and the rules change, you might be beholden to them and have to do what they say. So it's just a risk.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But this risk is historically viable. You know, it's gone up 10% a year since its inception, and it was invented in the Netherlands in the 1700s. Like this isn't a new thing. Okay,
Yep.
so but you're investing in a very new thing,
I know.
and
It's
that's
exciting.
the core. That's the core. That's the core here. This what I'm investing in has a history and has minted millionaires and billionaires through all of history. Okay, and had people jumping off buildings too when it goes down. So you know when it goes down, you're not selling, right? You're still holding. When Bitcoin goes down, you're still holding.
Yep.
You know you got diamond hands, right? So you're holding. You don't actually lose anything until you sell, and that goes the same with the stock market. Goes the same with any investment. So you get to where you can make dividends off Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, that'll be a scam whenever that comes out. People are trying to do that
Mm-hmm.
because there's no dividends on Bitcoin. But I understand it
That's
feels
right.
safe because of history, gold, stocks. I understand. But hey, I think we're coming up on 40 minutes. It was a good talk.
All right.
And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had
Thank
three
you.
series. Are you going to post this on your channel?
I don't think I've recorded it successfully.
Oh,
I
it
think
was
I'm
breaking
missing.
up. It was break. All right, I'll put it up on mine.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'll probably see what it looks like on yours, and maybe if I get the files from it, I'll see what I got. I think that the first one didn't record the audio. I don't even know what files got saved.
All right,
What can you
man.
do?
Well,
We'll
hey, it
see.
was good talking to you, man.
You too. You
All
too.
right.
Take care. Thanks,
Thanks
Jason.
for watching,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
See ya.
Thanks.